So, good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's the Sick of This show. We are doing Notes of the Week again. Every Tuesday, I like to bring on Walter and either Lawrence or Fred or someone else. Lawrence is going to be dropping partway through for another commitment he has. So, don't worry as he falls off halfway through the conversation. You will see him again at the top of the hour with Lawrence, and Joe Walsh. We got him back. But right now, it's notes of the week. And good morning, Walter. How are
Morning.
you, friend?
Good.
And how's the week been? It seems like it's been a quiet one.
Yeah, well, it's Tuesday. But but the big news is Jimmy Kimmel's on, and I guess that's he's coming back on tonight, and I just wrote a
Tonight.
couple. This is Hi Karen. This is big. It's and you know it's we keep saying, well, we lost him, but
No, I'm still here.
I just wrote an article about it, but I tell you, Jimmy's been the one that of all the night shows, the one my wife likes is Jimmy, and I think a lot of it has to do with Guillermo, who's so funny, and being he's just so pro, and he's just genuinely kind. Um, he was in tears too. I mean, when he said he's like, everybody regrets this, and a lot of you guys on the right, you're gonna regret it too. You just don't know it yet. But his bigger episode, I think it was right away he comes on and he's packing his bags, and Guillermo's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I gotta go. I'm on that list." And Guillermo says, "You gotta stay. You got a platform. You got a voice." And when he said that, I burst into tears when he said that. And I told my wife about it. I burst into tears again when I told my wife about it because I'd watched the replay. And he's been standing up for this. And just his willingness. People are afraid now. They're worried that he's going to come out and kind of back down. I don't think that's going to be the case because he didn't do that like in the first couple days, and he has power now because $5 billion of stock
Yeah.
went in the toilet, and I think we're seeing the cracks. I think it's a
Yeah.
good sign.
Gavin Newsom is his guest tonight. So I am pretty sure this is not going to be about capitulation. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a victory lap.
The
And
campaigns have started. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. So here's the real question. Because I mean, Gavin's doing great for what he's doing. But nobody really trusts him. Everybody knows that he's a corporatist Democrat, and he's not the one that we really want for president, um,
yeah,
or the most powerful office. I've heard people throw out the idea that we should just do Jon Stewart, Jimmy Kimmel ticket
yeah,
because they're both good actors. It's made for TV, and they're incredible policy wonks. Like both of them are incredibly passionate about policy ideas. They know how to connect people. They know who professionals are. They know how to use professionals and work with professionals. They know where they're not good at things or they need support.
yeah,
And they know how to fucking talk. Like Jon Stewart has been one of the most prolific advocates for veterans, for post 9/11 survivors, for the firefighters and first responders. He goes to Congress almost every year still and advocates all the time. And that's all he does is advocate political stuff. He'd make a great fucking president. Like they idolize Ronald Reagan or used to. They idolize Donald Trump, both of whom are TV figures. Why don't we learn a little bit and use a populist TV figure who actually might do some good shit?
I how serious do you want me to be in my response?
I want you to be as serious as you want to be in that response, but I'm serious. They should run.
Absolutely not. If we have learned nothing from Reagan and Trump, can we please not put inexperienced people into those offices? The level of complexity that you need to be able to hold in your brain to do the job of president, like you can't just apply for that as your first job in politics. It's seriously not a good idea. I get the gist of what you're saying, and absolutely not.
I think that's a fair response. That's a really fair response. But I think there's merit to what Nick's saying, and I think those guys should it'll absolutely be consulted on the debates because you need that quick wittedness in the debate to actually win the office. There's an argument too where it's like it wouldn't be bad to have a guy just be like, I am an idiot, so I'm going to get the best people for this job to be my advisor. So that, in that sense, it wouldn't be bad. But my initial response, I mean, I do kind of like the idea, and I like I like the idea of seeing him on a debate stage with some idiot, ignorant Republican and just making him look foolish. So that part is great. But I think I want it to be somebody like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who the Democrats have been ignoring, but she's been out there doing exactly what you should be doing. She's been out there giving rallies. And one thing I keep telling people is like, don't start with your, well, we can't run a woman. Don't start that shit. Do not start that. Do not do the work of the enemy for them. We absolutely can and should have a woman president. But the second, and you got these people, and I think they're good people that are trying to be responsible. It's like, get that out of your head. We got to manifest the reality we want. I want a woman president because the men have been fucking it up. I mean, look at what a shit show it is.
Yeah.
100% the fault of the men because we have
I,
never had a woman president. End
Completely
of story.
aligned, Walter. And I love in the chat. So Morgan and Rachel Hendricks are coming to the rescue here. Some people have said Zelensky's a comedian. He was a lawyer first.
Yeah.
He's a trained legal mind. And also I would argue Zelensky is kind of a generational talent, right? Uh, you know, all due respect to Jimmy Kimmel and Jon Stewart, who are brilliant, brilliant people. I I'm all in on like AOC and Pete Buttigieg teaming up and being like our millennial president and vice president. I don't honestly care which order they are on the ticket. I want people who are trained in public policy to be the like heads of public policy in this country.
Yeah. I mean, I propose that in jest a little, and serious a little at the same time, because we're also 3 years out still. And why not just have them just go out and talk about it? Like, even if they're not
Yeah.
going to run, why not just have them go out and act like they are?
Yeah. That's
Act like
actually
it.
that's a
And
brilliant
just
idea.
force Trump to respond to them every single time. Force
Yeah.
the Republicans to go on defense. Like, go on offense. Jon Stewart, because he doesn't have a real political career, or Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or um, any of them, Steve Colbert, any of them, they don't have real political careers. So go out and pretend, act,
Yeah.
do your job and act. Act like you're about to run for president for the next 3 years and pull a fucking 180 on them, because troll the fuck out of them. Like, Gavin
Yeah.
Newsom's doing really well because he has a really good press manager and she knows what the fuck she's doing and she's really good at it. Well, use really good people who know how to make fun of this guy and just go out and troll the fuck out of him, because they're going to put out good policy ideas with what they say, because they already do. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Camille Zapata, let's put her name out there. Camille Zapata is amazing at what she does, and she would be a great press secretary or someone who and gives information out, or internet press secretary or whatever position for whoever could actually run. I don't want it to be
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom. I'd love AOC to be, and like Jasmine Crockett AOC tickets,
Oh,
like them fighting it out would be the fucking most powerhouse ticket ever.
Did you guys see Rachel Maddow's interview with Kamala Harris last night by any chance?
no.
I didn't.
So
I saw
Kamala,
that there was one.
yeah. So Vice President Harris is listen to me. I'm making sure that I'm not just calling her by her first name. I'm giving her the due respect of her title.
Good.
Vice President
Yeah.
Harris just released her book, 107 Days. It came out today. And in the book, she talks about how her personal first choice for VP was Pete Buttigieg. But she did kind of the mental calculation of, can I ask the country to vote for a black woman and a gay man on the same ticket? And her calculation was, you know, as qualified as Pete might be, um, she couldn't. She thought it was too much of a risk, and I'm just curious what you guys think about that. Like, you know, so you said AOC and Jasmine Crockett, right? Like, absolute dream fucking ticket. Like, sign me up for an all-woman government yesterday. I'm 100% in. And can do we really think that this country could vote for a black woman and a Latina
Uh,
woman, you know, a Boricana, a Puerto Rican woman, on the same ticket? I'm curious.
yeah. I would. Things are different
Yes.
now than well, I would say I would not be critical of Vice President Kamala Harris's choice. I mean, and that's the thing I want to kind of leave this because you get all these people on the internet. They're like, "Well, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that." It's like respect what Vice President Kamala Harris chooses. And what she was facing is different. I mean, the landscape is different now than it was then. And the switch in my mind is today, Pete absolutely put Pete on there, put educated and wonderful black woman like we always have, that are always available and who always get cheated. But yeah, I wouldn't be critical of her choice at the time, but I think today, absolutely, we have to manifest the reality that we want, and we have to not be safe. Getting safe. We were trying to be safe in the past, and look what happened. We got here, right? So let's put that aside and just demand the future that we want. I think in the future, put them on there.
Yeah, I think I think there are a lot of people who would be insecure about it, but I think we also need to stop talking about putting ourselves in a box and giving like bad ideas or just watered down ideas, because it's okay to dream for things like public transportation for everyone across the US,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like paid for education through our taxes across the US. It's okay to dream and say we want those things.
I think we
So I
can't be
think
afraid,
yes. Yeah, I think we were talking about it last week, Walter, is we have to be unapologetically progressive
Yeah.
because progressive ideas are popular. Progressive ideas are the ideas that people like,
Ooh,
gun
yeah.
reform, like healthcare um
Right. A human
is
right.
something that everyone wants. It's So yes, I think we should. I don't even think it's we need to be having we should have the conversation of are people ready for it? I think people have been ready for it for so long.
Yeah.
We're just so afraid, or we've been
Well,
told that we can't have it, that we're just like, nah, we can't have a woman president and vice president, and they have to fit these certain criteria.
let's
Well,
make them. Let's
let's
make them
fucking
ready
make it.
for it.
Like, we're talking about it with constitutional amendment ideas, like radical ideas for radical times that are good, like
Yeah.
radically progressive ideas. And if we don't make it all the way, but we get most of what we want, we're still way better off than we were.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Nick. Like, we need to have a revolution in our thinking, and it is
Yeah.
time for a generational change in, there's so many things. Like, if you look at the, Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries style of leadership right now, it is absolutely mismatched for the times. And we
Right.
need to just radically rethink the way that we act towards Republicans, the way that we oppose them, and letting go of the old conventional norms that clearly
Yeah.
Republicans let go of a long time ago, and all of the things that we've kind of been beholden to. Like, we've been socially conditioned by our parents and grandparents, to think that we're not supposed to talk about politics or religion or sex, right? And those are the three things that are fucking us up right now so
Yep.
badly. We just need to have radical conversations about all of those things so that we can move forward as a country.
Yeah. And like the idea of that attitude of brushing all the child abuse under the rug. Are
Right.
you fucking kidding me? It's like we
Fuck
can't
that.
allow this. And we've been seeing this. Like when Mandani came out on the stage, he's throwing haymakers. He's like, "You've been accused of sexual misconduct," and it's like, and the American people are like, "Yeah, get him for that," because we're sick of people raping our kids. That's what we're
Right.
sick of. So let's just
Right.
make that what we're talking. And we have to deprogram the right and what Nick was saying before I thought was brilliant actually with having our comedians is like if Jimmy Kill's like I'm fucking running for president, but then he can give rallies in these red states where like the corporate Democrats never go, and he can deprogram and say, "Aren't you guys sick of it? You've been lied to. Here's a free concert," and they'll
Okay.
start to come along.
I will sign on for this if they focus on 26 first, right? Like, what we
Yeah,
don't need is people focusing on 28, like 26 doesn't matter.
valid.
If they
Yeah, valid.
run and then put all of that energy and enthusiasm behind, you know, the people who are running in some insurgent campaigns, right? Like the guy in Maine, Graham, whatever, I can't remember, who's great, who's so clear on the
Graham
fact that he's
Plattner.
not going to take APAC money or
Yes.
support
Yes.
Israel against Palestine, right? Like, if we can get focused on those candidates, we could change the fucking chessboard.
Yeah.
And if we're doing that, then yes, then
Yep.
Absolutely. Jon Stewart,
It's
jump
like
in and
right
start talking issues.
it's like writing the clickbait title that gets people into the article, right? You
Right.
know, so it's like under the guise of this, and then he's like, "But you guys got to get in the primaries.
Right, right,
We
right.
can take."
I'm
Yeah,
running for 28, but I need you to get involved in 26 first, right? Like, absolutely, sure.
and I think this thing too, because there's all these people are like, "I didn't vote for this." All these "I didn't vote for this" conservatives. We should be
Well, yeah,
appealing to them and say, "Look, get that MAGA candidate out of there." Then it's like you can still vote for a conservative, but fucking primary this psychopath that isn't working for you. And I think
yeah,
that's going to be because that way we win, and they get to kind of not have to radically change. They can still vote Republican, but just primary all those assholes. Let's reform our government. And I think that would win, actually. I think that would work.
Yeah. And people are talking about it too, is if they really want to make a huge impact, if these folks, these comedians want to do a policy thing, go run for Senate, go run for House, go beat the Democrat that's already there
right.
or the Republican there, and then make our policies work because you guys are policy wonks. Like, I mean, Jon Stewart is a policy wonk around veterans' health issues and supporting 9/11 survivor rights and actually taking care and using healthcare and community care as a right for people. I think he'd be a great senator. I think we should have these folks go out and do it. Like,
Yeah,
stop being afraid. You have the power, you have the money, and you're on our side. Like,
that's
you're
true.
not trying to hurt people. You want dignity of life, go out and just talk about it anyways. And like Walter said, come to red states. Like Arkansas is dying for Democrats to show up. Just show the fuck up. Like they keep talking about doing rallies in these red states. Haven't had a fucking rally in Arkansas. Haven't had a
Mm.
rally in Missouri. Haven't had a rally in Oklahoma. You guys keep going to Texas, which is
Yeah,
fine, which is awesome. Keep spending money in Texas and Florida. We need to win those states. But if we can win a quarter of Oklahoma
yeah,
and break a supermajority in a red state, it's, but
yeah,
yeah, but so too many guns, Nick. When you say that is literally oppression. That is autocracy. That is tyranny.
yeah.
That is taxation without representation in the United States. That is what we rebelled against. We need to have Democrats go out there and be proudly progressive in those states. Like we can't be afraid of the guns. We can't be afraid of people shooting us. If you're afraid of that, get good security, put a bulletproof glass in front of you, and then still host your fucking rally. Like, go out and be brave because we need courageous people who have money that are more than us.
That's
Like,
true.
I can't go out and run like that. I couldn't do a campaign like that. I don't even have the money to fund a fucking local campaign, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
people need to use the money that they have if they're wealthy.
Yes.
And those of us and those in the audience and those who support us, become paid subscribers if you can, because
Yeah.
we're the independent media right now. We are the citizen journalists. We're the ones stepping up to amplify the messages that all of you want to hear, all of you want and come to. Like, there's 114 people in this audience, probably about 100 of you have been here before multiple times. Like I see names in this chat every single day. They go from the daily whatever to mine to others. Like we go in groups and we stay together and
Yeah.
we're building our community. Invite your friends in. If you can support us with paid subscriptions, do so because don't go back to those Sinclair Media and Nexstar Media groups. Don't go back and support them. Don't restart your CBS subscriptions or your Paramount Plus or your
Yeah.
Disney Plus or your HBO. Cancel. Keep them canceled and use that money for us. And I'm saying us because I'm asking for you guys to support us to get us and amplify our messages. All right. Thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Lawrence. I was going to give you some time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I'll see you in a half an hour, brother.
Sounds good.
Um, and like we need to support each other. We need to keep building each other up so that when we say things like, hey, Jon Stewart or hey, Jimmy Kimmel,
Yeah.
you guys should go run for Senate or run for House or go campaign in red states, they'll listen to us if we have a platform big enough for them to hear.
Yeah.
Um, and
And that
so,
Yeah,
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
super big. Well, we've been talking about it. The more people we can bring on, the more we can expand our audience. And the people out there, if you've got 10 subscribers, it starts to build up fast.
It
Get started
does.
today. You'll get 10 before you know it, you'll have 100. Hundreds of That's a big number. You get up
Yeah.
to 1,000, keep having those objectives, keep talking to new people, and then you compile with other people, kind of in the same group as you are. Another person with 100, now you're talking to 200 people. So we just keep doing that. But as big as these platform kind of conversations are, the real world ones are super big. And we
Yeah.
we are like both Lawrence and Nick have said, we've all been kind of indoctrinated to surrender our power. We surrender without even thinking it. So this reprogramming thing, it applies to us too, where we get to kind of embrace the idea of productive activism, where we talk to our friends and neighbors and say, hey, there's this thing going on Substack that's really special right now. Go out there. If you're
Hmm.
fed up with the media, go check this out. Or have somebody come with you and say, hey, like you'll be sitting watching one of these shows with somebody. And then you can talk about it like it's a TV show, and maybe they'll be interested and they can reach out. And that's the other thing, because we're available to be spoken with. You can reach
Yeah.
out to me, you can reach out to Nick, and if it's something we've missed, I can just share it, or then I can bring it on and talk to another person, and we can give it more visibility that way. But the media as it exists now does suppress the really important narratives of our time. And they're deliberately suppressing the pain these policies are inflicting on, like, the transgender community. I keep saying we should be thanking the members of the transgender community for their service, because they're on the front lines defending our freedom right now.
Hmm.
More than probably any other group. They deserve that, because they're the ones who are, they're being targeted, and it's unfair. And because it's a relatively small population, we don't see how much they have to endure, but they're out there doing it and they're talking about these things. And if they're protected, our children are protected too. So we have to have that
Hmm.
philosophy where everybody goes together. And the teachers
Yeah.
too out there and all these wonderful people. Thank all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. And I think it's redefining, part of it is redefining what service means to the country. And I think that's why I appreciate like Banner and Backbone and what we're doing there as a group is we're redefining and reigniting what service means in this country. And it doesn't mean military service. It doesn't mean going into the government specifically. And it it does mean serving your community. It
Yeah.
means being a teacher. It means being a firefighter. It means being an EMT. It means being the crossing guard at your kid's school is a service to your community. You're keeping your kids safe from being run over or hit by cars, and you're ensuring that
Huh.
they are getting into school safely. That's something you can easily do. That's a civic action. That's taking care of your community. Donating your time or going to the library, supporting your local library is civic involvement. Your librarians are some of the most civically involved people in this country. They guard knowledge and they guard access to knowledge, free access to knowledge. And like
Yeah.
Walter, you're right. We need to be thanking them. And I think it's part of that, like, just taking back the narrative of all
Yes.
of this is
Yeah. Well,
they
it kind of
have.
goes back to the patriarchal model, where the he thinks he's responsible for everything, even though he never gives his wife credit, in the 50s era, when prior to divorce, when once they made divorce, like non-fault divorce, like the suicides among women, like, just plummeted, because there were all these women in just these abusive relationships, because that patriarchal model never works. And we're in a cooperation. It's not like you have one person who has prohibited anybody else from working, and then because he's the one income winner, everybody has to, like, be reverential to him, because no system, there are days in my household, my wife has a job outside the house, and I'm the one who's been at home because I work online, but I was a lot of times the primary caregiver. It's a hard job. Taking care of the kids is a hard job. Having the meals ready is a hard, and nothing functions. And there are days when she is tired or sick or just exhausted, and I pick up the slack. And there are days when I'm tired or sick and exhausted, and she picks up the slack. And we can't have this idea that only one group or one person, we're a collective and we all have to rise. And just that whole American model of I'm going to compete and beat everybody and be the one central winner, it's absurd. It just doesn't work. We need to lift everybody up. You look at these football teams, and it's like you got a quarterback getting paid $50 million. But if the long snapper doesn't make the long snap on the final kick, they lose. And he's getting paid,
Mhm.
minimum, the league minimum. That guy's just as important as anybody else. Everybody's got a job to do. Those jobs are critical. And just our whole structured system where some people get to be billionaires and some people have nothing. It is just, that's not a system that's based on merit, because we all of our labor matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's redefining what merit actually is and how we talk about labor. Like, you, we shouldn't be forcing people to work endless hours. I talked to Dissent and
Yeah.
Bloom yesterday, and with Soso, and um, and we talked about chronic illness and how someone at Dissent and Bloom's work died doing their job, like literally on the job died, like just had a heart attack basically and died. And she was at a funeral last week for a coworker who died working. We need to get out of this fucking mentality. Um,
Yeah.
they need to get out of this mentality where or we need to all. And um, I learned this after losing my job 2.5 months ago. Is like, I can't work myself to death. That's not a useful thing for me. It's not a useful
Yeah.
thing for my family. It's not useful to my kids, my health. I suffered a lot because of jobs. So fuck that. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna work my ass off for things that don't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas, like
Yeah.
this, we're having this discussion, it does matter. This is
Yeah.
why I'm here. Like, I came on to Substack and people started responding to my poetry and different things that I was writing and the opinions, and they were validating. People
Yeah.
validate here. That's the big difference, is we're validating each other. We're a community. We're remembering what it's like to be communal again on Substack. And it's really weird, but it's really awesome because we haven't had a good online space in forever.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm nervous of what may come and happen in this online space over the next few years. However, that's not stopping us from doing this or working with folks like Melissa Corrigan
Oh gosh.
to
Yeah.
help and contribute to the 1A collective, the First Amendment collective that she's putting together, which is going to be a bastion of free speech, real free speech and truth, where you can get your news and media unfiltered, unvarnished, but
Yeah.
truthful and consistently and not under a corporate agenda.
And I
Um,
find and I find too, once you kind of give yourself permission to even think these things, because they
mhm.
start with like, you shouldn't even consider having universal health care, like bad. And so people just avoid even thinking about that's the level of mind control that we're up against right now. And so it just takes a little while to first within yourself say, look, this is ridiculous. The system we have now, where I might go into the doctor's office and maybe it'll be $500, maybe it'll be 50,000. I have no idea. Nobody is happy with that. It's like where
No.
people are afraid to bring their kids into the doctors because they don't know. It's like your kid has a fever, you're afraid to bring her in because you don't know if it's going to leave you bankrupt. So then people are dying at home because of our healthcare system being that level of corrupt. And so to oppose that, we have to first just allow ourselves to say, look, it is fucked up. We're sick of this shit. And then, but then you find like-minded people, and that's just the beginning. And so Nick and I, as we have our talks, we kind of encourage each other, and then you're just like it opens up all these other doors, like, well, here's another avenue of things where we could make things better. And then it's like, why am I resistant to going this way? Oh, because of all the lies and bullshit I have to confront on a daily basis, all the conditioning. And those of you out there, you've been in we've all been in abusive relationships. We all know what that's like. We know when somebody's always hammering you and they make you feel like nothing because they want to control you and keep you held down. That's our whole nation. Our whole nation's been doing that to us. And we have a right to change our thinking And then you get the right and they come out and they're just like, you need to be more grateful because all the opportunities you have. And that's just the abuser line again, where they're trying to keep
Yeah.
us from even asking or working. They want us to
Yep.
not even work for a better future for our kids. We have a right to do that. So you make it the simple thing. You start having these discussions both online, listening to discussions, having discussions. Those come into the real world. And then you just feel more and more empowered. And these days, people always say I felt afraid to hit publish. It's almost never the case that I feel afraid anymore to hit publish because I know there's a lot of people that think like I do. There's more
Hmm.
every day, and we'll keep doing this work until we have the country our kids deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big part right there, Walter, is not being afraid to hit publish. Like, I want to encourage to, like, if 5%, just 5% of my community and subscriber base, if you started publishing today, if you just wrote something that you cared about and just boop, hit publish, send it out to your subscribers, even if you only have one or two. Like Walter said earlier, by the end of the day, you may have 10. That's a lot. 10 people
Yeah.
listening to. I look at my stats most days because I'm still amazed that over 4,000 people subscribe to me. Like, I hit the 4,000 subscriber mark this week with Sick of This Shit with Nick. I have over 100 people paying me to write, and that number
Yeah.
keeps going up. 3 months ago, I had one person paying me to write. I now have
Yeah.
over 100. Y'all, like, it's possible. It's possible to do these things. And like, I look and I see and I'm like, oh my God, there's almost 200 people in Texas right now reading my stuff. There's almost 200 people in Florida. There's over 100 people in Indiana. There's over 100 people in Pennsylvania. There's almost 200 in New York. I have 400 something in California. The one that I love my California population. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being such a disproportionately large group in my population and helping me. But I'm also building on the central part. And that shows that you guys are listening and hearing and sharing because not all of you are from California. Most of us aren't. Most of us live in red states. A lot of us
Yeah.
do. Like, a lot
Yeah.
of us are rural folks. I'd love for more in Arkansas to come join me. Like a quarter of part of my crowd is starting to be in Canada because I talk with folks like Dean Blundell and friends across the border because it's important. We're trying to build allyship and recenter the discussion, which is why I talk to the folks like Senate America, recentering the discussion.
Nice. I want to say too, and one of the things I've really learned that's been really wonderful with these lives is our coalition for decency. It's everybody's not going to be exactly the same. They're not going to have because we all come from these different backgrounds, and I've been trying to talk with as wide and diverse a variety of people as I can. And even you and I, Nick, it's like we don't like agree 100%. We
No.
overlap considerably, and then a lot of times it's not like, well, I disagree, but I'll sit and think about it and I'll try to imagine your perspective. And I learned so much by doing that. It's like, oh, now I understand. And that expands my worldview. So now, I encapsulate that part plus more. And,
Hmm.
you know, we just have to understand that we can't get into these. And it's a lot easier with these lives. When you have real conversations, it's easier to see. And just emphasizing, because the United States is such a big country, people have just dramatically different backgrounds. And I find a lot if I'm talking to a liberally minded person in a blue state, they don't know what I do as a liberally minded person in a red state. And I was talking with Ben Ulancy the other day, and he was like, "Well, sometimes he said to me, sometimes some of your arguments seem like you're going to drive them away rather than bring them to you." And I'm just like, we just don't understand. I grew up with this red mindset. They only look at things in terms of competition. So in order for
Hmm.
them to get through, you got to do like what Gavin Newsom is doing. First, you got to beat them at their own game, and then they're like, oh, I can respect this person. And then you kind of pave the way where you can have a talk. And so there's just like these doors open because if you're just sitting there passively like, well, the statistics and facts say this, you're not going to make any headway with them if you're polite. If you have to kind of talk their language a little bit. And that's that overlap we were talking about. But it is important to recognize first we have to kind of overlap and understand our allies, and then that sphere of who our allies are becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's an important
Hmm.
thing to learn.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important lesson that I've been learning is how to talk about politics and talk about things in a red area, in a, because I'm originally from a rural state, but it's not the reddest of states. Vermont isn't a red state. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Um, it's a
Mhm.
very odd mix of places, but I live in Arkansas now, and it's very red here. But it's not death cult red all the time. There's very unique aspects here, and we have to be willing to do what you just said is sort of punch them in the nose verbally and remind them
Yeah.
that we're not the tolerant, soft pushover left. I
Yeah.
am not that. I'm the fuck you left. Like, fuck you and your bad opinions. Fuck your idea because it's not good. And I'm going to tell you that. Like you just said, they respect strength.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
red areas, Republicans in general, most conservatives, because they're brought up on a system and indoctrinated into a system of patriarchy and
Yeah.
masculinity, you kind of have to emasculate them sometimes. You have to. There's a
Yeah.
reason I call Pete Hegseth and JD Vance and Stephen Miller penises and taints and balls and I don't use language derogatory to women. I use language derogatory towards other men
That's a
because
good point.
they need to understand that they're weak compared to me.
Yeah.
My opinion is better than theirs because my opinion values life, whereas their
Yeah.
opinion is like an asshole.
Yeah.
Everyone has one, and theirs stinks.
Yeah. We can't back down. And I mean, the clearest example of that is what happened after that Utah school shooting. The right immediately before any evidence was known, they used it for their political gain to blame all everybody on the left of being murderers, and you can't allow them to say things like that unopposed because and that's what our politicians because they're lagging behind, especially the establishment Democrats. A few more of them are coming on board, but the majority of them are still lagging behind. And the consequence of allowing the right wing to politicize every shooting meant that historically black universities were received terrorist threats. Two men got lynched, and then you had the homeless shooting. The homeless shelter gets shot up after the Fox News guy.
Two homeless shootings.
Yes, and it's like these are consequences of silence. So the people that are out there like you need to, they're saying to me, you need to tone down your rhetoric. Look what silence does. People are literally getting killed. We have to not back down when they tell lies because they tell these flat out lies. And that's what I was saying about this argument. It's every shooting is right wing because the right
Hmm.
wing doesn't block. Yeah, they don't pass any laws that would stop these things. The National Firearms Act effectively stopped shootings with automatic, what we would call machine guns. The police got sick of being killed by mobsters with Tommy guns, so they passed the National Firearms Act, which isn't a ban. It's
Yeah.
just sets of licenses, and it's been very effective. All the shootings that we've had in the United States, it has stopped. These mass murders with machine guns. They had the bump stocks, which was still though a semi-automatic weapon. So it's just these lies we have to confront because the left, for some reason, they think they're above combating these lies or countering these lies. And that's how the whole nation got indoctrinated. And it's like, yes, what the right says is beneath intellectual discourse, but we have to call them out on it when they say it because they're
Hmm.
lying to our kids. You can't allow them to lie because they are indoctrinating and grooming your kids. And they've got us into this mess that we're in today.
Yeah. And if the only thing that they hear are bad opinions, then those become the only opinions that
Yeah.
they know. We cannot leave a void in the talking space. That's why I'm out here talking, is because I was like, well, there's men out here talking. I've been told that we should stop giving, especially white men, microphones. And I was like, well, you know what? We keep
Yeah.
saying that, but the only men that get microphones are shitty. Like so many of them are shitty. So why don't I come out and pick up a microphone and start talking about it and like start talking about how I feel? And like there's a lot of
Yeah.
things going on in the chat too. And I'm following along in the chat, folks. I see there's discussion about Joe Walsh. I'm glad that there's a good discussion where people are going back and forth on their opinions about it and people are agreeing and disagreeing and having a conversation in the chat and nobody seems to be attacking each other. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please
That's
continue to do that where we do not attack each other because we are not we're the community for each other. Like we're here to talk with each other. There's a reason I'm bringing Joe Walsh on, and I've invited Joe Walsh on for my next show, is because I don't agree with him on a lot of issues. There are many issues I do not agree with Joe Walsh on. He's fucking trying, though. He has spent the last 7 years trying to amend for what he started, for what he helped start. To give him the chance to continue that so that I could invite him to a red place. Like there's a reason I'm inviting him because I live in red places. I live in a red state. Walter lives in a red state. Lawrence lives in a red state. Fred lives in a kind of red state. Um, we need to have the discussions with him because then he can come and talk to his audience, to the conservative base. I need to open space for Joe,
Yeah.
not because I think Joe has all the best ideas. I don't agree with a lot of his ideas. I don't agree with his stance on abortion. That said, he has come around and has been very vocal that his stance on abortion does not mean he would outlaw it for everybody else. It was he does not believe in abortion. Just like I believe that abortion should be legal because it is healthcare, because I know what abortions can do. I know a DNC after a miscarriage is an abortion. It is a medical abortion that saves women's lives. It's reproductive health care that kept my wife alive, that kept other people's wives alive.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't matter that they're my wife or somebody else's wife. It kept a person alive. Abortion access kept a person alive. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
I don't accept that. No, Morgan, I'm going to disagree with you that we don't have to accept what he says about the Tea Party. Those are his opinions. He may have convinced himself and felt that is what he was doing, was his ideas were constitutional and he was trying to do something. Yes, they did some really shitty things and he's out there talking about it a lot and how they do it and what they do and how they respond and how they get their messaging. Then let's use that. Like Joe is a political creature. He's a tool too. He knows that. He knows he's a tool for the Democrats if they accept him because conservative areas aren't going to always vote, even with populist progressive ideas. Conservative areas are not going to vote for AOC in the same way that they might vote for Joe Walsh, even though Joe Walsh doesn't have all the same opinions as I do and values. He does value the sanctity of human life. He does talk about trans rights and trans issues. He is not turf. He is not a turf. I'm going to say this in my opinion. I do not think Joe Walsh is a turf. I think he has thrown trans people under the bus before, and he works very closely and has a very good friend who is a trans woman and does a show with her quite often and talks about trans rights quite often. I'm giving him the benefit of the fact that I'm seeing he's putting in those efforts and I'm not seeing him undermine his own efforts. We
I
have
want
to
to,
be willing to expand our tent to accept things like that.
yeah. Let me say, and you made a couple comments I want to talk to. I think it's really interesting because my thoughts have been overlapping a lot. And on the first part is, yeah, like giving a white person a microphone. Yeah, we've got plenty of that. But and I've thought about that a lot, and I realized that when I speak, there's a group I can reach, and it's different than like my friend Will Fullwood. He and I do a talk on race every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and I can overlap. I can, and it was like I was saying with you, we don't always agree completely, but it's like, and it's because it's like he gives me clues about the reality of the world, and then I have to sit and think about it. And if I didn't talk to him, I wouldn't have those clues. But him
Mhm.
talking to me, then his words can get to this larger audience, because just the way I talk and look and act is going to attract a certain type of person. But then if I take it upon myself, because I talked to Allison Wilkes, who's wonderful. I need to get her. You need to talk to her. She's
Oh, that
she's
would be
absolutely
awesome.
brilliant. Yeah, and every time I talk to her, I just get all excited because she's just her brain works so fast I can barely keep up. And and it's another case though where it's like I see her perspective on things, or Arturo Dominguez, their response in response to the Utah shooting was completely different to the groups on the other side, and I'm just like sitting there watching this, and it's just we need that diversity. So I think a white person with a microphone is important because yes, it allows us to get that message everywhere. If it's always just groups of, you know, separated into whatever artificial construct we decide to look at, that's no good for us. I do have this question of who we give a platform to, and I've been thinking about that lately. I'm going to talk about that with Will tomorrow because I've been reluctant to as of now, I've been entirely focused on giving platforms to people that I know have kind of the same thoughts. But I feel kind of strong now in my own what we need to do going forward. That's kind of, solidified in my thinking. So I feel like maybe now I'll be more effective at changing the hearts of people that are maybe more distant allies. In her book, Calling In, Loretta Ross talks about that. Some people are 90% allies, some people are like 10% allies. And you have to do more work when you meet somebody who disagrees with you more, but they are all potential allies. And so our objective is how do we strengthen that connection, the percent that they are allies, and make change them from 10% allies to 20% allies. That's good. If we can go from 80 to 90, that's good too. So all these things have to happen. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I haven't been in a situation yet where I've been interviewing somebody that I disagree with strongly. That hasn't happened yet. But the way things are going, it's likely to. So thinking about it in advance is very helpful, and these questions and these
No,
comments have been very helpful to consider too.
yeah, and I appreciate everyone in the chat talking about it and saying still things like they're skeptical, they want more proof.
It
Okay,
should be. That's
you
fair,
should
I
be.
think.
You should be. It's fair to be skeptical. We have to be anyways. Like that's part of why we are so good at getting information out and telling truth is because we're skeptical about things, but we're also understanding and willing to give trust because
Yeah.
I believe people when they tell me and act in a way. Like, I believe Joe Walsh is trying and is working really hard for amends for what he did and trying to do as much as he can because both his words and his actions match. And he's not going out there and undermining his own credibility. Trust is earned, it can be earned back too. And we have to trust that Joe is doing this for the right reasons but we don't know, but we have to question and we have to ask and we have to probe. But it's not to push him away, it's to
Yeah.
build trust and build credibility. And if he's willing to talk to me, the thing is he's willing to come on to a show with two progressives who are going to ask him questions. He is willing to answer any question. Any. He's willing to answer any question, and he asks questions back too. And it's about understanding why. If we want to build trust with Joe and people like Joe and those who can fight in conservative spaces, who are a little bit more conservative than us in ideas, but have the same central ideal that people deserve value and humanity and dignity and rights and people are people, like once we get to that point,
Yeah.
then we can have policy discussion because we're not discussing personhood. Personhood is not a policy.
And if we can get a person like that to roll with this idea of primarying the radical right wing people, that is a big win, And
Hmm.
because if we could even get, it's like we don't necessarily have to win every seat, but if we could just get rid of these extremists who are in our government, who just have really ridiculous beliefs, and go back to just like, well, if we could go back to Eisenhower Republicans, then we'd have AOC as president because she's basically an Eisenhower Republican. if you
Yeah.
look at the platform she stands on. But there are so many ways. It's like, yeah, some of these people, if we could send them out in those areas where they would never listen to me, and they can at least put forth this idea of we got to do something about these extremists, who have taken over the party, who are defiling the Constitution, and they're defiling the Bible too, if that means anything to you. They're defiling
Mhm.
human rights. They're putting all these atrocities on us. So that conversation at least starts, and we can all come a little bit closer to something, approaching a reasonable society, then that's a win. We got to take every win we can get right now, too.
Yep. Yeah. And we've got to build on our wins and stop pushing people away when they show that they're willing to try
Yeah, those
and
ones. Yep.
evolve. Um,
When it's
and if
sincere.
they're, yeah. And if it's sincere attempts to evolve, then yeah, let's bring them in and work with them. Joe Walsh is coming on next with me, so we're going to be dropping off here in a minute. So please join us all, or join me and Lawrence Winterman here in about 5 minutes with Joe Walsh. Um, and we're going to ask him questions. Come into the chat and ask questions. Be respectful in my chat. If you come in and ask and start being shitty, I will push you out of the chat. Okay. I respect Joe because he's willing to come on the show and talk with me. He's willing to come on and be human, and he's willing to express himself in the most human ways. So please give him that opportunity too, and give him some humanity back. And we will talk to him and ask him the why he's changed, what he's doing, why he's continuing. So Walter, thanks again for today. I'll see you next week. Everybody,
Thank you,
come
everybody.
back and join me in 5 minutes. Let's stop being sick of this shit, friends, and let's start doing this shit. Thanks,
Yep.
y'all. Talk
Thanks
to you
so much.
soon.
Thanks everybody
Thanks,
here.
Walter.
Thank you.